wise lines. The same boiling water that softens a banana, that hardens the rava, that is semolina. So, it's all about what you're made of and not the circumstances. Pranam friends. Today's story is about the power of firmness for your goals. In life, many a times we blame the circumstances and people around us and refrain from doing the right things. Like, I wish I could do this but couldn't. I wish I could do Updyan, Navanu, Pratikaman, Pujya or take Diksha but cannot because of reasons like age, family, responsibilities, work, etc. Like this, we go on giving excuses in life for years and years, but we remain where we are. This specially happens on good goals of our life. Innervoicepaathshala, by presenting this story, wants to tell you guys, stop blaming the circumstances and stop blaming the people around you. Because if you are concrete enough on whatever you have decided in your life, then no one can stop you or no one can shake you. In life, when your soul is shaken or awakened, without wasting time, just start your journey right there. This is an inspiring story, the story of Jambu Swami, who was the last Kevli of this current age. Jambu was born in the 542 BC to a wealthy merchant, Rishabdutt, and his wife, Tarini, who grew up into a bright and intelligent young man. When he became older, many families wished to get their daughters married to him. During those days, it was very common for a man to have more than one wife. Jambu's parents had selected 8 girls from the reputed families and he was duly engaged to all of them. One day, Gandhar Sudharma Swami came to his town Rajgruhi. Jambu went to listen to his sermons. And on hearing the sermons, he developed a very high sense of acute detachment towards worldly life. He decided to become a monk. Now, on hearing this, his parents were disheartened and they discouraged him to take Diksha by mentioning the rigors of ascetic life, his responsibility towards his family and the 8 girls. Jambu also listened to them very patiently, as parents are the mentors in one's life. And they also had a point in whatever they were saying. But he was firm about his decision. Here, Jambu tried to convince his parents, but because of their immense love, they were not ready to give up. Finally, at the end, his parents agreed but set a condition. They asked him to get married to the girls first and then later on you can take Diksha. He agreed to this by saying that he would renounce the worldly life the day after his wedding. They believed that once he would get married, he would fall in love with the beautiful girls and leave his decision to take Diksha. So they also agreed. Jambu told his parents to inform the families of all the beautiful 8 girls about his decision, so later on they don't feel as if they were cheated by him. The girls were informed by Jambu's parents, but they were quite sure that Jambu will surely get melted on seeing them. So they agreed and married Jambu. Now, the wedding was held with a great pomp and pomp. Jambu spent that night in an elegantly decorated bedroom with his wives. The wives tried to divert his mind, but Jambu was unaffected by the beauty and glamour of the girls. He had firmly decided to renounce the worldly life the next day and decided to use that night to orient his wives for the spiritual pursuit. Guys, can you imagine? It was the first night of wedding, and what kind of night that would be in the case of Jambu Swami? I suppose a spiritual night. There was a ratio of 8:1. What do you think? Who will win? While Jambu was engrossed in the discussion with his wives, the famous burglar Prabhav had entered Jambu's palace-like home with 500 of his followers because his wedding was the most famous and hotshot lavish wedding in the town, where he could get best for his loot. Now, Prabhav had a special ability that enabled him to put anyone into a deep sleep, and he could also break any kind of lock. So Prabhav used one of his powers and made everyone fall into a deep sleep. He and his 500 followers quickly entered the palace-like home to steal the wedding treasures. Each robber was assigned with different places to rob. As Prabhav approached Jambu's suite, he heard Jambu talking to his wives. Somehow, his powers did not affect Jambu and his wives. This was because of Jambu's purity. Now, he came closer to the door in an effort to listen closely. And, to his utter astonishment, he heard Jambu talking about renunciation and the misery associated with the worldly life. His words were so powerful that Prabhav became interested and continued listening. He pondered over the irony of how hard he worked to steal wealth, while the owner was planning to renounce everything. Can you imagine what level of thoughts Prabhav would be having? So next time, when you look at people around you, don't judge them by their profession. Jambu continued to preach to his wives, and Prabhav listened to their conversation quietly. On the other side, his men finished stealing from the rest of the palace and urged Prabhav to finish the job of stealing the jewellery located in Jambu's bedroom so they could leave before the guards discovered them. By now, Prabhav had lost his desire for the wealth, and he developed a detachment for the life of a burglar and was ready to change. He told his followers that he had decided to give up burglary. They were free to go on their own. However, they said they would not go anywhere without him. If he gave up robbing and stealing, they would also give it up. Now, when Jambu finished the religious discussion with his wives, all his 8 wives were ready to renounce the worldly life. At that time, Prabhav came inside the room and said that he had come here to steal, but now he had also decided to renounce everything after listening to the talk between Jambu and his 8 wives. He and his 500 followers made up their mind to become Jambu's disciples. Next morning was an iconic morning in the history of Jin Shashan. It was the morning of the true spiritual rise. That morning, the citizens of Rajgiri awoke to some surprising news. Jambu, his 8 wives, the famous thief Prabhav, and his 500 followers were ready to renounce their worldly life that day. Jambu's parents were saddened and disappointed that their wish did not materialize. They quickly realized the importance of Jambu's message and decided to join him also. Hearing the news and understanding the message, the parents of the 8 brides also renounced their worldly life. A spectacular procession followed Jambu went to greet Sudharma Swami. Can you imagine the scene? Wow, it must be just beautiful. There, Jambu bowed to Sudharma Swami and became his disciple, and in turn, Prabhav and his colleagues became Jambu Swami's disciples. Eventually, Jambu Swami became the head of the religious order when Sudharma Swami attained Keval Gnan. He remained the head of the Jain order for 44 years, and then he also attained Keval Gnan. He was the last Kevali of the current time cycle. He attained Nirvana at the age of 80. So friends, never be discouraged in life. It's often the last key in the bunch that may open the lock. So if you are firm and have infinite patience, success is bound to come to you. So with power of firmness, love and passion towards your goal, Innervoicepaathshala once again tells you to aspire yourself correctly and inspire the world.